Hello and welcome back to Granted Gardens. My name is Melissa. On the last video, you guys got to watch me do my 2023 houseplant tour. And during that video, you saw just the abundance of plant life that we have here in our home on our homestead. Quite a few weeks back, I was kind of addressing the concept, making a mental note of what plants were going to be involved in the houseplant tour. So as I was walking around, I was kind of glancing, making a note of where all the plants were so I didn't forget anybody, even though I still kind of did. I kind of came to the conclusion that I like my plants to kind of have a flow to them. Like instead of just having plants set randomly around the room, I like to have kind of different shapes, different sizes, and different heights, if you will. And so one thing that I had been messing around with in the gardens, the outdoor gardens, over the last couple of years is this concept called vertical gardening. And I literally thought in my head, how cool would it be to have like indoor vertical gardening? And just the thought came to my mind, and I really was trying to figure out in my head like what that would look like. What kind of tools would be used, what kind of plants it would be appropriate for. And I kid you not, in a matter of a couple days afterwards, I got this email from this company that had asked me to review their product. So this is the product. This is called the Vertplanter. The concept in it, which we can go over more in detail as I open. The concept is that it gives plants something to grow up and grow on, okay? There's a lot more involved in this, and there's a lot of special features to this. One of the special features being that soil is not involved. This is a water system only. So this is very interesting to me. So I said, yes, absolutely. I'd be happy to try it out. So let's open this up, and then we're going to play around with potting our first plants on it and kind of see how it goes. All right, so this is going to be the first time I've opened this up. I have watched some YouTube videos on the Vertplanter. It looks like they pretty heavily send out this product for people to review. I've followed on their website now for a few months, and it looks like they've done a lot of updating on their website as well. It's definitely something very interesting and very versatile. Now, the purpose that I'm initially going to use it for is not necessarily its main ability, okay? But it looks like there's a lot of different ways to really use this. So, and a lot of people have kind of like put their own spin on how to use this, which I thought was really cool and pretty interesting to watch. So, got it open like this. I would imagine this is probably the base. I'm gonna just set this down to do that. All right. So here's the base, and here is the lid. It looks like it's a nice size. It says Vertplanter there. And here is the actual stand. So it came with a guide here. I'm gonna just flip through this. Oh, awesome pictures. That's nice. I'm a big picture person. It's nice to have visuals on how to follow stuff. So the concept here is that there is quite a few different ways that you can use this. I'm going to hold this part up. This one here is going to be more the take that I'm going to take today, and that's by having some of my clippings and kind of growing them around this product. Again, going for that vertical growth that I was looking for. So this is more my purpose. Now I have seen quite a few people on YouTube try this method as well, which is where you would put the seeds kind of like, what was it, chia pets concept? You just put the wet seeds on the side here and water it from the inside and let it grow. I've never been very successful with chia pets, so I won't be trying that method. All right, so here's the situation. This is the concept. You have your base here and your main section, your main container, I guess is what we're going to call it. And we're just going to set in here. Now, the bonus of the base is that it will collect any excess water that may siphon out of your main base, okay? And so that's nice because it's not going to run anywhere, not all over your tablecloth or all over your countertops. and B, it's going to provide a resource for you where you can go back and just kind of dump the water in the top. Now notice there aren't any holes down here, so that's interesting. I guess the moisture is really just going to seep through this main container. However, you can tell that there's a sheen on this base here, so it's definitely coated, and that's what's going to keep it from any water from leaking out of this. The base does, it's kind of hard to see, but it does kind of sit up a bit from the very bottom. It rests on these little spokes. So it does sit up a bit from the bottom. So even if there is excess water, it will not be necessarily just sitting in it. It is a bit raised. And then here is the lid, which would go on top. So the concept here is that you want to be able to use plants that can thrive living in water for long periods of time. My go-tos right now are going to be my Wandering Jew, and I don't know, we might play around a little bit with my Pathos too and see if we can get a really fun look out of this. The roots of the plant themselves will kind of attach to these walls. They'll grow to these walls, and that's how they're going to absorb their moisture, is through the walls of this main container. That is the benefit of this planter, is that you don't necessarily have to have your roots just sitting in a vase or just sitting in the bottom. They can actively grow throughout the sides of the container and continue to receive water that way. And then obviously you would just pour your water in through the top. So the recommended plants for this container would be anything that like I said, grows well in water. They suggest any kind of like tropical plants that might grow around really moist or damp or wet areas. Would be a great suggestion as well. And then they do also have a list of suggested plants that you can grow that come with the guide. Today, I am going to focus solely on the things I have an abundance of, and that is Wandering Jew. You all are going to have to excuse the mess because I didn't want to clean up before I did this because I knew I was about to bring another mess in. Okay, so we're going to start off first with my Wandering Jew. So this Wandering Jew I actually salvaged from some plants out front last summer that when it got cold, I knew they were gonna die off. So I propagated some of these guys so that I would be able to plant them back out front in the following spring. They are not doing the greatest, they're not that happy, but they do have roots on them. So this is what we're gonna start with. Okay, so I also have a few rubber bands here because that's what we're going to use to secure it around the base. I am winging this entirely, y'all, so give me some slack. Oops, that's fine, we can just propagate you. I broke a little piece off there by accident. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm putting on some of my more sizable plants at the moment. And then I'm gonna wrap. This would probably be a lot easier with 2 people. I think this is definitely a 2 people thing. All right, so this is not the easiest thing. So let's reevaluate. All right, we're on a roll, guys. So my goal, what I'm doing right now is I'm finding cuttings that are about the same size. So, and as far as size go, length is the word I was looking for. I'm looking for cuttings that are about the same length. So I got my longer ones in this pile, my shorter ones in that pile. So now I'm going to start with my longer ones here, and I'm just going to wrap the rubber band around the top of these guys as kindly as possible, and then I'm going to wrap the rubber band around our Vertplanter. So now I'm just going to spread these out so that they look pretty. But to be honest with you, that doesn't look terrible either. That's kind of cool. Okay, so now that I've got my longer ones on, I am going to put a second rubber band. I think I'm going to come up from the bottom on this one so that I'm not messing with those leaves. I'm going to put my second rubber band closer to the base of the body, and I'm going to put my smaller plants, my smaller cuttings around that second, into that second rubber band. Now, the concept here is that with my wandering Jew, each of these nodes areas will end up growing roots, and those roots will connect here on the pores of the body, and that's where they're going to get their water from. So essentially what should happen is I should end up with a lot of root systems here. An example of what that might look like is this here. You can see on this one, on that node, it's grown some roots. And if it does that to all of the node areas around this body, then the plant will continue to grow. Pretty cool, huh? I like it. I gotta be honest, the concept is spot on. With this being an experiment, I did set aside a few of my Wandering Jew cuttings, my larger ones, that I'm gonna go ahead and pot just in case this doesn't pan out exactly the way I want it to. But the benefit of using Wandering Jew is that it is a very forgiving plant. Even if it does dry out, you can always just snip off kind of the bottom part that dries out, the root system, or the very bottom, and usually the plant up top is still doing just fine. So I should get a decent heads up if this is not working the way that I want it to, and be able to rescue my plants. I think that this concept, I give this concept an A+, because when the thought came into my mind about I want to start vertically gardening in the house with my house plants, I Googled that every which way till Wednesday, and I could not find anything. I could not find anything. So the idea is unique. And there's a need for it because it doesn't exist in the market. However, I do think that I have a few concerns about whether these plants are going to get enough access to moisture just from this base in order to generate a healthy root system along the base. So only time will tell on that. But the concept is really neat. And I like that it's versatile too. I like that, you know, even if it doesn't work with necessarily rooting everything, you could just set a vining plant next to it and just let it vine up. You would still get that vertical garden, that vertical concept. I think that the concept of putting like chia seeds and stuff on here is pretty neat too. That might be something I'd like to try in the future if this doesn't work out. But I don't know, this looks good so far. I think it's really pretty. I love the look, the aesthetics to it. And could you imagine like these just keep growing and vining out and the whole thing covered? It would be beautiful. So I'm going to give this a shot, and I'll be doing updates frequently. If you're not following us already, make sure you're following us on Facebook. That's at Visit Granted Gardens. So make sure that you follow us. If you haven't already, please make sure that you hit that like button below and subscribe to our channel. Any comments, likes, and subscribers helps YouTube know that people are in fact watching our content, and then they end up pushing it out more to new viewers. If you want to learn more about the Vertplanter or about this company, feel free to check out the links below. Get an additional 12% off your Vertplanter order with coupon code GRANTEDGARDENS. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we look forward to sharing more with you soon.